There's a reason why I avoid taking any math classes in college. Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell and this is once again coming from my apartment. Now today we are going to be talking about the film The Man Who Knew Infinity. Now this is a film which I had no knowledge about going into it. I didn't see a single trailer, at least that I can remember, before seeing it. Showed up at my theater, I'm like, alright, let's go see what this thing is about. And it is a biopic, actually, taking place in the early 1900s, just in 1914, right before the outbreak of World War I. It follows this Indian guy named Ramanujan. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I apologize. But he is played by Nick Pell, and he is this extremely smart mathematician. He is just coming up with all these formulas in his head, and he's a genius, essentially. And a lot of places in India will not hire him because he doesn't have a degree, and they think that he's just crazy because he's just spitting out all these formulas if they don't know what it means. And yeah, eventually he gets hired, he goes to Britain, and that's where he meets up with Jeremy Irons, who is also in this movie. And Jeremy Irons plays his mentor, and the movie is essentially about him having to prove his theorems, because he's coming up with all these equations, but he has to prove that they are correct, or else he can't publish them, or else there's no proof or way of knowing for sure that they are accurate. Now, if you're not a big fan of math like me, a lot of this stuff is going to just go over your head completely. I mentioned in my review of Money Monster that some of the economic stuff made sense to me because I've taken some economic classes, and I understood some of what was being talked about. This movie, math has never been my strong suit, so a lot of stuff which was mentioned just kind of went right over my head. Writing down formulas, all that stuff, just nothing. So those are things which might throw someone from this movie and might take them out of the experience of this movie, because the biopic in and of itself is somewhat interesting, because I don't think a lot of people know about this person who created a lot of the standard mathematician stuff and came up with formulas which had defined some of our modern science and math skills and world stuff. The performances in this movie are just really well done. Nick Pell does a fantastic job in this role. He kind of captures the idea of this foreigner who starts out really excited to be in Britain, and then he kind of has to go through some struggles, and he starts trying to kind of find his place in this college that he's in. Jeremy Irons, also good job. Last thing I saw him in was Batman v Superman, and so I'm seeing him in a few other things nowadays. And yeah, I enjoyed seeing him in this movie, and yeah, nothing really to say about that. One thing that I did really appreciate about this movie is that they included parts of like World War I. For example, they have a newspaper article which they just show, they don't touch on, but they show the Archduke Ferdinand getting assassinated, which was kind of the blow up to what started World War I. And you just see that, and you just see it kind of progress throughout the course of this movie, with kids having to go off and fight, professors having to be recruited to go and assist with some of the battle plans and stuff like that. And you see the college affected in this way, along with Ramanujan just seeing that he doesn't have to be pulled into this conflict, and just kind of the effects that that has on him to an extent. There's also a good chunk of kind of racism, to the extent that if you're not familiar, India was still, at least from what I can remember, ruled by Britain during this time period. There was basically a colony of Britain, ruled by Britain, so anytime there was an Indian person who was in Britain, they were very looked down upon, because they just were seen as subjects and not something which was kind of worth anything. And so a lot of professors and students throughout this movie discriminate against this guy because of just where he's from and where he grew up and everything like that. And it's just kind of an unfortunate thing to see, but I also really liked that they had that in there, because it was very true to the time period, and most likely to a lot of things that this guy experienced when he was in Britain. Said the movie is very slow. I was kind of bored for a large majority of it, and part of that I think is kind of because it is a lot of math talk, which just, again, went over my head. And so I did find myself a little bit bored, seeing like the movie was moving just a little bit slow. It's also a bit uneven at times, where they'll just show like a scene for like 30 seconds here or there. It just didn't really ultimately seem necessary, and it was just kind of a weird movie to watch. Maybe if I was really big into that stuff, and I knew about this guy beforehand, I would find this movie extremely fascinating. But I just did not, and I was kind of sad that I didn't, because I usually like seeing these biopics about people that I've never heard of, because it's usually really fascinating. This one just didn't really capture my attention as well as I was kind of hoping that it would. But as it is a biopic, I always appreciate it when they put like the end credits, before the end credits, just kind of an explanation what happened to this person and people throughout the movie after the events of the film. They do that. I liked it because it kind of showed the effects of what this guy produced throughout the course of his life and the impact that has made on today's society. So, guys, those are my thoughts on The Man Who Knew Infinity. If it sounds like something that you'd be interested in, go check it out if you have the opportunity. But if you're not kind of into the whole mass stuff, or if you're not really a big fan of biopics for some reason, probably not your thing. Those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like the film as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Once again, if you so choose, I appreciate it immensely. And as always, for people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.